Inspiring voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.
And welcome to the season premiere of the Autistic Delicatessen. I'm your host, Larnell, and filling in for Belky right now is a talented woman. Her name is Hagar Shamali, and she does the Oh My World shows on YouTube, which is political satire, where she does different characters and talks a lot about international affairs as well as political affairs here in the US. So, Hagar, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Larnell. Thank you for that kind introduction. I really appreciate it.
From last season, Belky became our new co-host of this show of the Autistic Delicatessen. But we have a third host who's also been a guest of our past season. She's known as the Autistic Travel Goddess, as well as the Neurodivergent Millionaire. And I'm so happy she's joining the Autistic Delicatessen family. So, Shalise, welcome to the team.
Thank you for having me. And it is my honor. I feel so honored being a part of the Autistic Delicatessen team.
Yes, it's so good to have you here. And Hagar, let's get into it. Who's going to be on the show?
Well, on today's show, our guest is Nikko Gomez of Food on the Spectrum. He's an autistic foodie from Orlando, Florida, and he posts reels and pictures of his food excursions to different restaurants and food trucks, along with reviewing their deliciousness on Instagram. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. You need to check it out. Please stay tuned as we have our conversation with him. But first, let's delve into our host chat of the beloved Continental Breakfast. So starting with you, Shalise, why don't you share with us your thoughts first? Continental breakfast, yay or nay?
Mostly nay. I've had rare experiences where the continental breakfast was actually good, but for the most part, it sucks. Like most of it is just a bunch of cheap, carb-laden, mushy, textured food, and it's just not that great. And it's not usually custom cooked or gourmet. It's just a bunch of cheap, like pre-made stuff a lot of the time. So yeah, no, I would say nay to that.
I agree with you, but first, Larnell, I want to hear what you think, and then I'll tell you why I agree with you, Shalise.
All right. I would say yes, and also it all depends, though, because I had some continental breakfast that has been really good. Like, for example, I remember when I had a family reunion years back on my dad's side, we were at Embassy Suites in Brunswick, Georgia. And then for their continental breakfast, they had scrambled eggs, corned beef hash, grits, and like some bacon and all that stuff, as well as some sausages. It was a nice smell, like a nice southern smell, and it tasted really good, though, So for that, like, that was a good experience, though. So I would say, yes to continental breakfast, and again, it all depends.
My thing is that it's not clearly defined. So you sometimes have some really fancy and expensive bed and breakfasts and hotels that say continental breakfast included. And I'm like, that's not exciting to me. Because when I go, as Shalise mentioned, it's 9 out of 10 times a bunch of stale croissants and jam. And that is not what I want. It's not healthy. It's not filling. I don't, I'm not excited about it. And that's my main thing. Is there a definition of the continental breakfast? Like, does everyone, is it like something that's well known across the country?
And that's the thing, like what Larnell just described, I don't consider that continental breakfast. I consider that a real gourmet, real cooked breakfast. Like, I don't even consider that continental breakfast.
I agree.
I think it honestly, like, all depends. That could be like a real breakfast, but also too, like, I've been to the Hampton Inn and they will have some good bagels, though.
Oh, yeah.
They will have some, like, at times some good cereal, like, or just some of those things I like in terms of the fact of, like, just having a good bagel or, like, having good oatmeal or whatever. And then other times it would just be like generic stuff to where, like, a cereal would just be in a package, or just like, they would have some stuff be like, oh, okay, not to.
Now, with the continental breakfast, I notice even the fruit that they offer is different. Like at a higher end hotel, you'll actually get the berries and the good stuff. But like at a cheaper continental breakfast, you'll get something like basic, like apples, bananas, oranges, something very basic and cheap. But I also want to point out that, like Larnell said, he got that good really cooked breakfast at Embassy Suites, that's considered, and I'm gonna tell you from a traveler, that's considered a higher end hotel versus, somewhere like Hampton Inn, like you just described, that's considered the lowest tier of the Hilton hotels. That's one of the lowest tiers. And so as you could tell, like the higher end the hotel is, the better the breakfast tends to be. And what they consider to be a continental breakfast is not the same as what a lower tier hotel would consider to be a continental breakfast. So I also think it depends on, the tier of the hotel as well.
But because I think at times, like sometimes a simple breakfast that's continental is something that's good and all stuff. Because sometimes they have good fruits too as well. They have
Right.
like
And
bananas,
yogurt.
Yogurt too as well and all that stuff. There will be like the yogurt that you can have with your
Oatmeal.
breakfast, or sometimes the toast and the jam or something like that. Or the toast and the butter. I like the Philadelphia like cream cheese butter. That's
Oh,
really good right
yes.
there.
The
So
Philly
yeah,
cream
Mhm.
cheese.
yeah.
If you Google continental breakfast, it appears that no one really knows what it's supposed to include.
Right.
Everyone has their own definition. Merriam-Webster dictionary defines it as a light breakfast as of rolls or toast and coffee. And so that is so bare bones that no
Right.
wonder it's usually, when I see it
For
on
sure.
like listed as offered when you stay at a hotel or inn or motel or somewhere, that's probably why we all kind of roll our eyes a little bit like, oh,
Right.
great. And I'm a big breakfast person. Breakfast is important. If I don't have it, I promise you I will faint. What are your favorite breakfasts in general?
Like I think for me, like I would say like corned beef hash browns from McDonald's, of course, not the outside hash browns. Like they're okay, but
Mm.
I think to me McDonald's makes the best hash browns in my opinion, hands down. Best hash
Those are
browns.
good.
Also, too, like I would say like some waffles, with syrup on it. Some bacon, some sausages. And I'd mentioned cereal before. I just meant like just good cereal or something like that. So yeah. How about you, Shalice?
So my favorite breakfast, I love yogurt. Aside from being dairy free, I love the dairy free yogurts as well. But I like having bacon and some berries. Like I love the mixtures, like the berry salads with the strawberries, the blackberries, the blueberries. I love to have bacon along with that berry salad. Sometimes I like to have oatmeal, depending on the flavor of it and the texture of it. And I really love, 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 love home fries, especially when I make them myself. And I like goose eggs and duck eggs because of the rich texture behind them. I love them, but they're so hard to get a hold of here in the States.
That is interesting. I've never heard someone mention
They're
goose
better than
eggs.
chicken eggs. They are
Wow.
so much better than chicken eggs, both duck and goose eggs. Now, they're both bigger than chicken eggs, but the goose egg is like 3 times the size of a regular chicken egg.
Interesting. I might have to try it out. My favorites are I'm a creature of habit and I kind of have one of three breakfasts, either a banana and a yogurt, or eggs and a banana, and like two hard boiled eggs because I don't have time to do much else. Or oatmeal and a banana. Again, I really clearly love bananas. Or oatmeal with blueberries. But yeah, it's usually one of the three. But I'm a big stickler for breakfast. Well, this was a thoughtful subject. I really am enjoying this conversation. It reminds me of my own show, Oh My World, and actually specifically a line of educational videos I just released called Geek Out with Oh My World, which you can also watch and subscribe on YouTube. Now, on to our conversation with Nikko. Nikko, welcome to the Autistic Delicatessen. It's so great to have you and to see you virtually, of course. I am a big fan of your mission and brand, and you've got some great posts and social media content. And I was really curious as to what inspired you to start in this field. What made you want to launch this?
Well, first off, let me start by saying thank you for having me on this show. I really appreciate it. Huge honor, as a matter of fact. So, very good question. What really made me start this is, well, during the pandemic, this was during the time when I was like a really picky eater. I said, you know what? Why don't I try to expand my palate and do all these crazy things that I usually normally don't do? As time went by, not only was I trying new things, but I also wanted to help support the small and local businesses because they were the ones that were suffering throughout this time.
Very cool. Do you have any favorite places you visited?
That depends on the kind of food that you're talking about.
Okay, rank for us your favorite foods.
My favorite foods, you got to go with the classic pizza. It's one of the like childhood things that I always went for, and recently got into tacos in 2020. And tacos have been a growing thing for me too. Always loved burgers. This is in no particular order, by the way, since this is coming from the Orlando Burger Week ambassador of 2023. I can't figure out 4 and 5. Those are going to be hard ones to put in, but I do love me a good hot dog. What was number 5? Good old chicken wings. Always loved that.
And really, I just think, Nikko, I just like seeing your videos, by the way. And one of the places that was interesting that you went to in Orlando, I think it was one of the food trucks. It was called La Bruja,
The Brujas table.
La Bruja table. So you want to talk about some of the dishes that you reviewed and that you enjoyed and liked in Orlando?
She has plenty of them. The empanadas are usually like the go-to food to get because there's nothing most Hispanics love more than a nice little empanada. And the most popular one being the chicken and cheese, the mojo chicken and cheese. Not only because the cheese is like super stringy, like in a lot of my videos, but like it had really good flavor, and the sauces that she would drizzle on top of it was crazy.
I can only imagine, like, the sauces and the drizzles right there. Like, you seem to be doing a lot of drizzling on your videos.
Yes, I started doing slow-mos now. Like, I was like, you know what? Slow-mo the videos and everything. Flip the phone upside down to get good angles.
Nikko, since we have, like, a guest co-host, Hagar, like, and she's Lebanese, have you ever tried any Lebanese food, like, in Orlando that you can recommend?
Kebabs?
Kebabs?
I haven't done a lot of videos for kebabs, but there is a place near my house that whips it up pretty good. It's called Habibi.
Oh, it is? Do you know what Habibi means?
Love, my love.
That's right, my beloved. That's right. It's a very common nickname. I love to hear that. The thing about Lebanese people is that they're everywhere. And they open restaurants everywhere. And I always like hearing of good ones because it's just like being home.
Yes, especially because like one of my uncles is actually from the capital of Lebanon, Beirut.
Oh, I had no idea. Amazing.
Shout out to my Uncle George. Hopefully he'll watch this soon.
But I see you do a lot of traveling, Nikko, and I want to ask you, which place have you been to that has the best food?
Well, I usually tend to pull up to Orlando Parking Lot Party, which happens every Friday or Saturday at a bunch of different breweries. And a bunch of select breweries. And I do also love to go to Tasty Takeover, which is every Tuesday in the Milk District.
Okay. Oh, makes me want to.
What this is like it's an event that's being held, and they get a bunch of different food trucks to like surround the area, and a lot of people end up going, and it's really good for all these small and local businesses that end up making a lot of money from these events.
You get to support small businesses.
Yeah. And also, like, there's been, like, nice food truck events to really help the businesses. I know, like, for me, I've been to mostly the vegan in St. Pete, as well as the ones in Tampa and all that stuff. And really, the vegan dishes, like, have been doing, like, so much better, which I'm glad, because I came from a place to where when I had organic foods, they didn't really always taste that good. And I remember I went to a vegan Thanksgiving event in Tamarack when I used to live in South Florida. And let's just say the tofurkey stuff was okay, but it had the gravy stuff, but then some of the other stuff was like not really that good. If that was my first time having vegan anything, that would have been my last time having vegan stuff. So, yeah.
Are you vegan, Lionel?
No, I'm not vegan. But I'm open to trying out different stuff though.
Yeah, that's the thing, because when I was diagnosed with autism, I was put on like gluten-free, dairy-free diet. Gluten-free because of the leaky gut, and dairy-free due to like better brain health and all that, because people with autism are said to like not have too much dairy because of how much it can affect our brain.
And sometimes with dairy, like you can kind of get congested or something like that. You know, you have too much of that.
Yes.
And honestly,
100%.
I don't know how, like, back when I was a kid, like, they had, like, milk as, like, the overarching, very good for your body type stuff. You know, they had this whole campaign, like, on commercials. They have posters and all that stuff.
Milk does have its benefits, but it depends on the brand that you're getting it from. Because if you get it from, like, the big brands will sneak in these like processed ingredients like carrageenan, which is extremely inflammatory.
Yeah, I find so. One of the things if you do radio, podcast, TV, they tell you not to have milk or dairy before because it creates this like congestion in your throat and mucus. It's not good for you on that front.
That's where the congestion and the inflammation comes from. It's carrageenan.
Oh.
That's the one ingredient inside milk that you got to get away from. If you're gonna get any milk, make sure it's completely organic and does not have the carrageenan in it.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that.
That's really fascinating. I find, as someone raised in a Lebanese family, we cannot live without yogurt. And yogurt for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, it doesn't matter. There's a yogurt type of element to almost every meal. So anytime I've ever had somebody tell me, or a doctor tell me, you should try going dairy free, I'm always like, but my beloved yogurt, how am I supposed to live without that?
There has been some good like vegan yogurt, vegan ice cream, and all that. I go to this one creamery down in the Milk District. It's in Market on South. It's called Vegan Scoops. And when I tell you it was one of the best ice cream I've ever had, and it's vegan, is completely insane. Because like it's all coconut based, and one of the things I don't like about coconut based ice cream is that the coconut tends to overpower the original flavor.
Exactly.
But that was not the case at all with this.
You know who has really good coconut ice cream where the coconut does not overpower? And trust me, I'm a person who hates coconut. But this ice cream, they have the coconut-based ice cream at Trader Joe's, and I got the strawberry flavor, and it tastes just like normal strawberry ice cream. You don't even taste the coconut, and it is so good.
But the coconut doesn't overpower it? That's crazy.
You should try it.
Yeah, it's a good tip.
Going on to your story, Nico, like me and Shalice, we were early diagnosed autistic people. So, how did you find out about your autistic diagnosis?
Well, my mom actually found out about it, and at first, most of my family didn't really believe it. But I think one of my mom's friends was supportive about it and was like, "Go get her checked at Dr. Franz," which was my doctor at the time. They went and got the diagnosis and everything. They came back, it was positive, and put me on this strict diet, dairy-free, gluten-free, like I was saying earlier, and it was quite a journey, really.
And are you still dairy and gluten-free?
Not anymore, no. As you can see, I'm doing a lot of cheese pulls on a lot of my videos, so I'm not really dairy-free anymore.
Because really, it's just so interesting, Nico, that you kind of closely have a similar story like mine, because mine was more about for behavioral purposes when I first, this was years before probably you were born, Nico, which I'm showing my age right now. But but it's just back in those times, it was more about, there was books about how to put an autistic person into a more dietary, organic type of thing to get the behavioral balance or something, rather than taking a bunch of pills and meds or something like that, So that's what my parents did, So it's been good, but because I feel like it's helped me really be open to different types of foods and all that stuff, or else I would have been more into junk food or something. So
yes.
Well, because also in the Black sphere, which I'm sure Shalice knows, we know all too well, we be in the soul food. It's like collard greens,
soul food is a big thing.
All that type of stuff. Which I don't know, Hagar, if you ever had soul food, but you've probably been to Sylvia's or something, hopefully. But
I used to live in Washington D.C. for 12 years, even though that's not that much farther than New York, or not much farther south than New York, where I'm in the New York area now. It actually has a very heavy Southern influence, which I loved. And so there were some famous soul food restaurants that I used to go to, some famous soul food chefs. And I'm not sure if this is related, but it is where I learned to love bourbon specifically because, y'all put bourbon in everything and it's delicious. So, yeah. But yes, collard greens for sure I'm a big fan of.
Collard greens are amazing.
And grits too. Shrimp.
I hate grits and I hate bourbon.
Oh, I love them.
My favorite soul food, mac and cheese, baby.
Hate mac and cheese
and the chicken and everything. Oh man.
To me, it's I like the corned beef hash and the scrambled eggs and all that stuff, And honestly, I can have this is outside of soul food, but I can have country fried steak if it's from IHOP or one of those places or something like that, There's nothing like good country fried steak, Don't have it every time though, but every now and then that's good and all that stuff. So it's just. Yeah, sometimes I like grits. Grits is I'm not like Shalice in terms of her not liking it. It shows that us as autistic people were different. So yeah,
I don't like corned beef hash either.
I think one of the reasons that autistic people are usually very picky about stuff is we have texture issues and sometimes issues with flavor and all that. That's one of the reasons like we're so picky and it becomes hard for
For
us to
me, it's a
expand our
lot of
palates.
texture issues that get in the way of me being more open to foods. I don't like anything with a mushy texture. I can't do it. That's why I don't like macaroni and cheese or grits or corned beef hash.
And Nikko, how's your cooking? Do you like to cook? Are there favorite things you like to cook?
I'm semi-homemade. Well, I usually tend to use the air fryer and my griddle. That's really all I use. Usually tend to make. I could make a mean grilled cheese right now, but I'm currently on the show, so I'll probably do it later.
So let's say like me, Shalise, and Hagar happen to be in Orlando, just visiting or something like that.
Yes.
What restaurants and what food trucks would you recommend, like starting with me first and then, of course, Shalise and then Hagar?
I'll give you my top 3 of each. So my top 3 for food trucks is Red Panda Noodle. They got the best noodles on the planet. And when it comes to spice, they do not play with that stuff. They go crazy. And I'm a very spicy person. I even have the one chip challenge here with me, but I'm just not going to do it because I heard about a kid dying about that.
I think I heard the same thing.
Yes.
I'm spicy too. I love spicy food.
I love spiciness.
But be careful.
So Red Panda Noodle is one of those people that I recommend. Doubt Day Cheese, really good friends of mine. Got the best grilled cheese on the planet. You see them a lot on my page because I give them the most amount of support. And number 3 for food trucks, I'm going to have to jump the gun on this and say the Brujas Table. Because, of course, Puerto Rican street fare is that really good stuff. Honorable mention would be El Perrero, one of the best hot dogs in Orlando.
Those seem to be very like good places right there to like really check out though, and really have right there, because you've been to food trucks, right, Hagar?
Yeah, I love food trucks. I often go to them when I'm in Washington, D.C. in particular, and in New York City. I have a bunch of favorites, but when I see a Greek food truck is usually that's usually going to go to the top of my list. I love all that, gyros and all the food that comes from Greece and what they make. And so, yeah, those are usually some of my favorite kinds.
Yeah, because there's some good Greek food out there, so you can find that. It's interesting that there's Greek food trucks though. I think I've probably seen it here in Florida though, but it's just, yeah, that's something interesting though. So, Shalise and Nikko, are you into Greek food or anything?
I need to expand on that. I'll do like a good falafel though.
Yeah.
But isn't falafel kind of like, I don't know, like, I think it's kind of Arabic or something? Because I tend to find like, even for the vegan stuff, that's more, yeah.
It's Middle Eastern.
Middle Eastern, sorry, Middle Eastern.
No. You know why I say that? Because it becomes political as to where it came from and started, but it's Middle Eastern and it's basically chickpeas fried into a patty. Oh. And I agree, it's delicious. I love falafel as well.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, it's Greek, oh, it's Lebanese, and I'm like,
yeah, it's all Mediterranean.
Makes sense.
And I love Greek yogurt, first of all, which, like the yogurt dishes that they have. I love the salads, in Greek restaurants. And I really, really love the seafood, especially when I was in Chicago a few years back. I went to this really good Greek restaurant where I had the nice, like, Mediterranean salad along with the sea bass fish. And it was so good. It just tasted so clean and light. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness. It was everything.
Chicago has good food.
The sauce for the fish was made out of a yogurt base, too, which was amazing.
Oh, yes. I think I had some Greek sauce. It's kind of like hard to pronounce, though, Like, even when I first had it at a Greek restaurant, I think I was in South Florida at the time. It was like a tea. It's not like a silent tea, like tzatziki. Is it? Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, it's a Z.
I think the T is silent.
It's the T is silent, so it's tzatziki.
Tzatziki, okay.
And that's right. And for listeners, it's basically strained yogurt, pieces of cucumber, and garlic inside it. And I agree, it's addictive. It's so good.
Oh, yeah. Like, it was good when I first had it, though. Yeah. Where can people find you on social media?
On Instagram, I'm trying to use TikTok a little more often, and Facebook, but Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Instagram is usually like my number one social media that I use.
So, Nikko, we would just like to thank you for coming on to the Autistic Delicatessen and really just sharing with us like all the different food places in Orlando. If you're ever in Orlando, please check some stuff out. Now, I am going to put in an honorable mention because I was around Orlando for a concert. Check out Planties. You know, it's right.
I did actually.
Oh, plant. Yeah, it's
For Burger Week.
yeah, because really, like they have plant-based burgers and they have fries there.
Their fries are good, but they're a little on and off.
On and off, like
their
but they're really good though. Like I put up a review on my page on my Instagram, Arnold Cross on my Instagram.
Yes.
And I just had them, and also they have a nice drink. I had the Arnold Palmer. Have you ever tried their Arnold Palmer?
I love Arnold Palmer's.
An Arnold Palmer?
But
No.
it's really good. I recommend that at Planties though. Like if you ever go by Planties, definitely have that though. But anyway, again, like thank you so much for coming on. Okay.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you.
Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this edition, this first season premiere edition of the Autistic Delicatessen. If you want to check us out, please like and subscribe for new videos to come up here on our YouTube channel, as well as check out our show on Spotify. And if you want to check out our past shows, please go on to theampliverse.com/the-autistic-delicatessen.
And you can find me at The Autistic Travel Goddess on Instagram, The Autistic Travel Goddess on YouTube, The Autistic Millionaire on TikTok is where you can find me.
And you can find me at Geek Out with Hagar across social media platforms, also at Oh My World Show across social media platforms and on YouTube.
And until next time,
What's on your plate is how we relate.